I was standing in the kitchen, staring at a phone that hadn't lit up in 7 days, when I realized the silence wasn't accidental. It was intentional. The kettle screamed itself empty. I didn't turn it off. I watched the steam curl and vanish, the way attention does when someone decides you're no longer worth the effort. 7 days. No calls, no texts, no explanations. Just absence dressed up as busyness. I didn't beg. I didn't double text. I didn't show up uninvited like a desperate ghost. I did something quieter. I listened. Silence tells the truth if you let it. We hadn't always been this way. I remember the first night we met, the way laughter felt like a private language. The early days were careful and warm. We planned weekends months in advance. We shared passwords and takeout and the kind of trust that makes you forget to look over your shoulder. I believed in us because there was nothing to doubt. That was my mistake. The shift didn't announce itself. It never does. It crept in like dust. Messages that took hours instead of minutes. Eye contact that slid past me. Plans that stayed tentative, always dependent on someone else's schedule. When I asked what was wrong, I got reassurance with no substance. Words designed to calm, not to tell the truth. On day 4 of the silence, I noticed something else. Their social media was active. Likes, stories, smiles. The world had access to them. I didn't. That's when denial stopped working. I found the proof by accident, which is how it always happens. A shared tablet still logged in. A notification preview that wasn't meant for me. A name I didn't recognize followed by a message that was too familiar to be innocent. No explicit confessions. Just intimacy where there shouldn't have been any. I didn't cry. Not then. I felt something colder settle in. Clarity, the kind that sharpens edges. I closed the tablet. I made dinner. I slept. Control is easier when you stop hoping. The next morning, I made a list. Not of grievances, of assets. Shared accounts, subscriptions, upcoming obligations. Social circles. Legal details we'd once laughed about and never formalized. I read everything. I documented everything. I moved quietly like someone who understands timing. I didn't confront them. Confrontation is a gift. I wanted leverage. I booked a vacation that afternoon. A real one. Ocean, sun, distance. I invited someone else. Not a secret affair. A friend who knew the truth. Who knew how to stand beside me without asking questions that would slow me down. I posted a single photo when we landed. Nothing provocative. Just proof of life. Proof of movement. That's when the phone exploded. Messages stacked like apologies in a courtroom drama. Missed calls. Voice notes heavy with concern that hadn't existed for a week. The silence broke because it was no longer in their control. I didn't answer right away. I unpacked, I swam. I let the sun burn away whatever softness was left. When I finally replied, it was brief, polite, distant. I thanked them for checking in. They wanted to talk. I agreed. Not immediately. I scheduled it for when I returned. Power loves calendars. While I was away, I finished what I'd started. I separated finances. I changed passwords. I canceled the shared plans they'd been too busy to confirm. I spoke to a lawyer. Nothing dramatic. Just prepared. Justice is boring when it's done right. The day we met again, I chose a public place. Bright. Busy. No room for raised voices or rewrites. They arrived early. Nervous. Apologetic. Armed. With excuses polished during my absence. I let them talk. I watched the performance. I noticed how often they said, "You misunderstood," instead of, "I'm sorry." When they paused, waiting for forgiveness, I finally spoke. I told them I knew, not how I knew, just that I did. I slid a folder across the table. Inside were dates, screenshots, bank, statements, agreements. The quiet infrastructure of a life that no longer included them. Their face changed in stages. Confusion, fear, calculation, regret. Finally, when they realized regret wouldn't change the outcome, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult them. I thanked them for the clarity their silence had given me. I told them I was leaving, not the cafe. The story they thought they were writing with me. They tried to bargain. They always do. Promises poured out, heavy and late. I stood up before they finished. Closure doesn't require consensus. After that, everything moved fast. Mutual friends heard the truth before rumors could form. Logistics were already handled. There was nothing left to negotiate. The power dynamic collapsed because I'd removed myself from it. That night alone, I finally let myself feel it. Not grief, relief, the kind that settles into your bones and tells you, you're safe again. I slept better than I had in months. People asked if it hurt. Of course it did. Betrayal always leaves a mark. But it also leaves space. Space for honesty. Space for movement. Space for a version of me that doesn't wait by a silent phone. I learned something important in those 7 days. Being ignored is information. Silence is a choice. And when someone shows you how easily they can live without you, believe them the first time. I didn't win by making them suffer. I won by refusing to shrink. I left, I lived. And when everything turned around, it wasn't because they came back. It was because I never did.